what's going on out there, YouTube? This is Samuel Leggett representing JVS. I'm back here again for another review. This time I'm back again for It. This time it's Chapter 2. So back in 2017, I was able to see one of the better horror films I'd seen in years in It Chapter 1. I honestly felt like Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise was an underrated performance because there was so much physicality there that kind of got muffled around, kind of got glazed over because of a lot of the effects and things, but there was a lot of practical applications to his immersion into the character and what he was able to pull to it, as well as the amazing cast that was the young losers. Now, 27 years later, you have a whole new group of you losers and some of the best actors to date. Comedians and performance-based actors. You have Jessica Chastain plays the role of Beverly. James McAvoy playing the role of Bill. Bill Hader as Richie. Isaiah Mustafa as Mike. Jay Ryan as Ben. And James Ranson as Eddie. And also Andy Bean as Stanley. This was an amazing cast. But the thing I'll say about this, I can effectively say that these two movies in tandem make up an amazing recreation of this TV movie that I hadn't read the books. I didn't know anything about the books. I'd only seen the TV movie not even like less than 5 years ago. And it was kind of like, and it took me time to even look at it. And I think that based on what they did there and what they did with both of these movies together in tandem is masterclass. And I think all that has to go to Andy Muschietti. And I am so happy that he's going to be taking out the rounds for a amazing Flash movie. But back with this one of the things that's the core of this one is the losers coming back to the fold. This is like the first one was kind of like you going through the progression of life and you dealing with all this tragedy and all these different problems, but you can work it out together if you have the people that are closest to you. One of the things I loved about the TV movie is that, you know, they went this full circle back and had them as adults, and the same kind of merging that happens in this one, the same exact way it kind of played out in the TV movie, but a little bit different with a lot of certain things I'm not going to spoil in this one. I think it's just worth for you going to check it out. The other thing about this film, I will warn you, this is 3 hours long, and I personally feel like the way that this movie ended, there's not going to be any more. I think that they closed the chapter on it, and I think that some people might find that negative, and I think that might be why I was a little bit apprehensive about seeing this, and apprehensive even about going to this review, because a lot of people were like, it was okay, it was as good as the first one, but I don't look at it as better than the first one or less than the first one. I see these both as one conjoined story, because one of the things about this film is that I know for a fact that Andy shot a lot of these scenes with the younger actors during the time in 2017 so he could be able to effectively do this one right, because there were so many different amazing moments that I was like, wait, no, that doesn't work. Finn Wolf does not look like that at this point, like not even a year ago, because of course we've seen Stranger Things, and so there's a lot of different things that they did in preparation just for this movie, and I think that that is amazing filmmaking at its finest. Now, performance-wise, some amazing performances. I don't know why people haven't been talking about that. The performances all across the board were great. And probably, I will say this, Jay Ryan that played, I think what was the show he was in, Beastly? Or was it Beauty and the Beast? He was in Beauty and the Beast. This is his best performance I think I've ever seen him actually do. Standouts for me were definitely James Ransom as the role of Eddie and Bill Hader as Richie. Bill Hader, I know a lot of people have been praising him, but his comedic timing is perfect. As a matter of fact, him and Finn Wolfhard nail Richie to a T. Like the translation between the two, I was like, this is what Finn Wolfhard would be like as an adult, and Bill Hader, it just brought out that essence of the character that we remember. It's comedic timing, like the immersion, but at the same time they do some interesting things with the role of Richie, as well as a lot of the other ones. It does not play out the same exact way as it did in the TV movies, for the betterment, in my personal opinion. But again, I'm not sure if this is catered to the book as well. I think that the downside that people will probably see is that it's ended. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going any further than that. So it's kind of like, oh man, you go through 3 hours, like, man, this is a whole lot to unpack. But when you really think about it, when you really think about the connective tissue between the two, the translation is perfect. Jessica Chastain and James McAvoy do really good. They have some really good, strong performances. James McAvoy, towards the third and second act, as Bill, goes through some interesting metamorphoses as a character. And I think that, I mean, first off, I think James McAvoy still should be nominated for Glass. Like, nobody's going to talk about it because it was in January, I think. But I think he still should be nominated for Glass, just like I think Lupita Nyong'o should be nominated for Us. That's like, I think that Bill Hader could easily be nominated for his performance in this, because it is a very interesting performance, and he brings a lot to the table. And towards the latter end of the film, dire straits wouldn't even be the word of it. Like, it was kind of like, it was this fever dream kind of nightmare that you could not get out of, and you're kind of logged in. You're like, all right, I'm already invested. Like, it doesn't even matter. There's some moments that I think that in this one versus the first one, that there was a lot more practical effects in the first one than more of the ones in this one, because a lot of things are bigger, and a lot of things in the set pieces are a lot more crazier, and some scares really do work. Some scares I was kind of just like, oh my gosh. But there are moments where I feel like, to Bill Skarsgård's detriment, and to the film in certain moments, it becomes off less scared, because you can tell CG when it's... Now, some of the CG is really good. There's one moment that this creature just starts to walk and move that I was like, oh my gosh. Not just that. This is rated R, for real, for real. Like, I mean, the first one you knew was rated R, but this one, there's some things that happened that I was like, that's pushing it. Like, I would not take anybody I wouldn't take anybody under 16 to this movie. I really wouldn't. I don't think it's a good idea. I really don't think it's a really good idea. Just because of some of the things and some of the horror and even some of the gore. There's a lot of blood in this one. They do push some boundaries. They really do push some boundaries. But they could have went even further with it. But again, I love the flashbacks and the connection tissue with the past and the present and the character development. Specifically with, characters like Beverly. I love the way they change her from the TV movie to this one. I love also what they did with Mike. Because Mike, in the original one, I was kind of like, man, what the heck is this? And I still question certain things, because there's certain things that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But it worked out in the long run. I think that the way you finish strong is the most important part of it. And yeah, just prepare yourself for some waterworks. There's gonna be some sad stuff that if you've been invested with certain characters from the first movie to this one, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it, and it's really rough, to be quite honest with you. I think the score was done really well, but even more than that, I think that the cinematography, in connection with the score, allows that immersion feeling of dread and fear and just like weirdness to come. Like, if anybody remembers the TV dinner scene at the restaurant, it's even worse than this one. It's even worse. I didn't think it could be, but there's something also that happens with in the third act with the letter, and all I can say is it brings me back to this feeling that I felt with Stranger Things season 3. That's all I can really say, and it was heart. Like, I could feel the heart behind it, and the execution was done and written very well. And again, I think that this was a good film, and I really enjoyed it, and it makes me appreciate both films together. If I looked at the second one by itself without going back to the first one and think about the first one, I think on its own, it's still a really good horror movie. I think it's just some moments that they overexpose some of the VFX that doesn't help, like, Bill Skarsgård's performance to come out, because he is so physical and he is so elemental in the way that he does certain things. And I know they had to do a lot of motion capture for probably the third and second acts of this one, as well as the actors that mimic certain things that Pennywise were doing. They had to pay a close attention to what Bill Skarsgård brought to this from the first movie as well as to this one. There is one moment in the second and third act, or maybe in the second act, that Bill Skarsgård, like, you see, like, just really him. And that was probably the most creepiest moment in this movie. And I wish that they could have had more moments like that. Like, to be quite honest with you, like, I wish that there wasn't a lot of moments that it was like overexposure of CG, and you just really just saw the raw, like, fear behind what was really kind of happening, but I think that I could feel a lot more dread and fear in the first one because it was less VFX than in this one, what was really heavy on VFX. I think that would be the only thing that I would say. It's not necessarily negative, it's just I think it would have pushed the envelope even more if it would have kind of been brought down a little bit as far as some of the CG effects. But I understand why they did it, just based on if you remember the TV movie and the end of that, it's 3 or 4 times way better than that ending. So you don't got to worry about that. I think you're gonna have a really good time at the movies with this one. I give this one in between a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. I didn't have any problems with it. I think I rested at a 9 out of 10. But if I think about those two connected together, I think they're perfect. Like as chapter 1, chapter 2, if you look at them together, I think that the director even said that he was gonna make a cut where it's just both of them together. That's gonna be a long daggone cut. It's probably like 5 hours because this movie was 3 hours long. I think that it'd still be worth it. I think it would work really well. Matter of fact, I would watch that on TV and at home. And so definitely a shout out to everybody that created this, all the actors, all the cast, composers, VFX artists. You brought me through a really great horror experience that I haven't had in a long time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Go check out It Chapter 2. I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. But definitely go and check out It Chapter 1 first. Then go see this. I think you have a really interesting experience given certain circumstances. If you want a spoiler review, let me know in the description bar below, in the comment section below. We got you. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. Peace, guys.